Good morning, people. Welcome here from sunny British Columbia on the mighty river. We've actually got something that feels somewhat like summer now, which is fine. It's only been the last couple of weeks where it started to warm up because we've been behind the jet stream some. But as you might have noticed, I was out on the boat here a couple of weeks back. I'm going to be out this weekend for about 4 days, it looks like, too. And exciting. I've had this boat here now for a little over 4 years, and as some of you know, it's been a bit of a restoration. I mean, she's been all over the world, but the old cat I bought her from was 94 when I bought it from him. He had bought it for himself on his 70th birthday, so it had been in his possession for a long time, and certainly he had taken care of it, but it had sat, and you know, just having thousands of ocean miles on it, and it needed a little attention, so I've been cleaning that stuff up. And of course now she's sporting a new rig and new sails and like all the goodies and bells and whistles and the rest, and it feels like a lot of boat. It was kind of interesting because I was out again, you know, with a friend here a couple of weeks back. They were starting the Race to Alaska fiasco up here in our area. We were out the same day that the race was started, coming around Entrance Island. It was kind of sloppy, blowing, sustained, you know, mid-20s, lots of big tides. Things were stacked up, you know, maybe a 6-foot following sea and, you know, on the verge of breaking, that kind of situation. And we're rolling a bit, you know, but we're pooping along and having a cup of tea and like whatever. It's like no stress, no fuss, no muss. Meanwhile, capsizes and dismastings are going on in our vicinity. It's just, this boat is so able and so capable, like, it's just amazing. It inspires confidence. If anything, its danger is that it is so sea kindly that you have a tendency to underestimate what's going on. Like, it is so quiet, and it sits so well at anchor, and it handles so well in relatively heavy weather that you have a tendency to really underestimate the conditions. Nice problem to have, certainly a first world problem. That's where I'm at. So I titled this video on bringing something to the table. And this is important because we are living at a moment of historic environmental and economic transformation in the world. At this point now, even the most out-of-touch individuals are predicting that we are going to have something called a recession. Now, you know that I don't see what's going on as a recession. I see it as an inevitable consequence of the collapse of civilization due to the fact that we have based our livings on absolutely unsustainable things, and the resources necessary to our previous quality of life are now running out. It's not a recession. We may have recessions along the way of collapse, but what's actually happening is collapse, not a recession per se. And that's why fuel costs are what they are, and food costs are becoming what they are, and wages will become what they are, and all of the rest will become what it's going to become. And this is going to require, for a lot of us, transitions into different kinds of habits and different kinds of ways of living. That's not impossible. There's a tremendous lot of reward in being a first-order producer of value, in looking after one's own welfare, being that autonomous captain of one's ship. I've done this for a lot of years. I've come to find it so rewarding, it's hard for me to contemplate the alternative. But it can be a strong transition, a difficult transition, one that takes a lot of commitment and effort, to move from a world in which your wage is being paid by some other entity out there to one where you create your own living, which I think is the only constructive path forward for most of us, unless you happen to be an individual through nepotism or whatever reason, just inhabit a box of privilege where the collapse of civilization for a long period of time won't impact you. But like for most everybody I know, this is a reality that's going to become very, very, very present, and is now And by the end of summer, especially when the emerging scarcity in food and such really starts to become apparent, well, it's going to give us all a lot to think about. So after a lot of years of real effort on the boat, and I'm glad, so glad I put in the time and effort and had the expenses when the earning was good, because, I mean, again, my prospects are drying up a touch. I can see that. I'm finding myself in a position where I'm drawing once again upon skills that I learned through teaching sustainable agriculture and sustainability on the Big Island of Hawaii to prop up or at least reawaken means by which I was able to create value for myself other than just strictly earning a wage. So, for example, I mean, I have the food processors back out. I have the dehydrators back out. In fact, it's a scandalous failure, but I've got 20 gallons of brown sugar in a great big jug that unfortunately has spoiled. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with that. But there's a lot of things that I can be doing in the time that I'm not at work to create real value, that creates real implied income, things that I'm actually going to use, things that now I don't have to buy, things that save me tremendous amounts of money. This all goes to providing me tremendous resilience. Right now, my intent is to take some serious sailing off in the spring and summer of next year. The reason for that is I see that my work prospects are likely going to really suck. Right now, while it's still cheap, I can go out and I can buy a 50-pound bag of onions and put it in the food dehydrator and pack it away. I intend to sail away from this dock with literally having 6 months of food aboard and really very little else to think about. That's very, very, very doable. I've done it in the past, and I feel very fortunate to have those skills so that I can bring them to bear now in a moment where they once again become relevant. So here is a message that I've tried to communicate over the years, but I swear it is one of those that is really hard for people to wrap their head around. This seasteading motif that I have advocated for, especially the one without inboard engines and the rest, the engineless sailboat way of going about things, I mean, this provides you unbelievable freedom and autonomy, this lifestyle, but it's not a goddamn vacation. It's not. It's a hell of a lot of work. I mean, if you are living these lifestyles and you've got a lot of idle time to hang around with cocktails and such, man, you missed it and you are going to fail. Not that I don't enjoy my cocktails, not that I don't enjoy my leisure time, but you have to recognize that if you're going to be a first order provider of value, you create this for yourself. Every moment of idle time where you're sitting on your ass not doing anything has a cost, because you are 100% of the time on the job site. And you don't need to be in a situation in which you're out there slugging it away, you know, I don't know, flipping sheetrock on walls necessarily, although you might, or sewing canvas or such. But I mean, certainly, if you want to enhance your ability to survive in this environment, well, you could be feeding the food dehydrator, right? You could be doing something in the galley. There's a million things that you could be doing to make your situation more prosperous. And you're like, well, I don't know how to do any of those things, dude. Well, now you know what it is that you need to be doing, because if you don't have the basic skills necessary to provide value for yourself in real time, you don't have the skills for this lifestyle. Learn to cut hair. Learn to repair diesel engines. Learn to sew sails. Like I say, look, if you can't dice onions, I mean, this is going to be way, way, way above your head. You have to have the attitude that you are a forward-looking, opportunistic, entrepreneurial privateer. You have to have this attitude. Running a ship is running a business. It runs on money. It takes time and effort, and a lot of effort, to keep it all together in tip-top shape. It's not going to get easier to do that in the future. It's going to get harder to do that in the future. As the economy goes to crap, it's likely that most of us will, quote unquote, have more time away from, say, a job. But if you're not in a situation where you can find some other means of keeping the basic nut that you got to crack cracked, well, your staying power in this world is going to be really, really short-lived. Now, there is another aspect of this which is huge. One of the primary skill sets that one has to adopt and develop to high order in a world of scarcity, in a world of autonomy and resilience, is the ability to relate to other people in a trustworthy manner. We have lived in an era of high levels of dishonesty, corruption, and profiteering at any kind of expense. We could get away with that because we were rich enough to basically walk away and suffer losses, and if it wasn't that, you could have the courage of your attorney to go fix things. Well, if your world is one of personal relationships, meaning that you're literally on the dock selling dehydrated onions to somebody else, and you sell them crap onions, you know what's going to happen to you? Consequences. Like, you're done. The word will get around instantly that you have crap onions and your onion selling days are over. Unless you're the kind of person that repeatedly demonstrates that you are a trustworthy provider of value to other people, people will not have the prosperity anymore to allow you to go try, learn, and screw things up. In fact, it becomes severe very quickly. You don't even want to be associated with deadbeats or flunkies or people that are not trustworthy, because you do want to be associated with individuals that are trustworthy. And trustworthy people do not get involved with people who have untrustworthy friends, because they know that those relationships will commingle. And it's like, well, man, I don't need those deadbeats in my life because they bring nothing to the table. So lots to think on there. I hope to give you a kick in the butt to inspire a certain amount of enthusiasm, let's say, to get things in a row before it gets really complicated. Yeah, bring something to the table. You know, there's a game theory model, you know that I'm a fan of game theory, that models relationships of all types that have the quality of duration, the game theory model. It is called Tit for Tat Plus. That's the game theory model. And it is the one that demonstrates consistency and duration in relating more than any other game theory model that's been developed. And it is simple as hell. If you want to have good quality relationships, either internally, externally, or with other people, doesn't matter. Here's the strategy. You can do it in 2 sentences. When someone comes to you and provides something of value, you reciprocate and plus some. When somebody comes to you and takes value from you, you reciprocate in the same manner and plus some. Meaning when somebody takes things from you, you take them back and more. When someone gives something to you, you give it back to them and more. And that accelerates in an exponential manner, either keeping good quality relationships with other people together, or crappy ones become very, very, very short-lived. If you do that, you're going to be golden with anything, whether it's life or whatever. If you are encountering a relation with something that is really beneficial to you, reciprocate and then some. And if you're in an environment with something that is taking it from you bad, take it back and then some. But if you're the kind of individual who is perpetually bringing things to the table, you're going to find that there's a lot of stuff and a lot of people out there in the world who actually want to play that game with you in a constructive manner. And it opens a lot of doors, and it makes your quality of life better, provides tremendous autonomy, and in fact, a sense of purpose and relevance in the world. Yes, the future's scary, I'm sure, But there's an opportunity here that is incredible to try to find a pathway to meaning in life that you may not have previously enjoyed. And I would encourage you to think about it and give it a try. Cheers.